What happens when you confront Putin in public?
You probably disappear, dude.
This is Mikhail Hodorkovsky. He's the CEO of the Russian oil company Yukos and Russia's richest man. Ooh. And right now, he's at a meeting with the country's other oligarchs and President Vladimir Putin.
Do you know what an oligarch is?
It's late February.
Teach us.
Oligarchs are basically like billionaires, very powerful people that have serious influence because of their wealth. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of them that were created after the fall of the Soviet Union. So they had control of like certain industries after communism collapsed. So they had an advantage over the rest of the public. And yeah, oligarchy is no joke, bro. So he like took a lot of them out, bro. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
And are they usually really corrupt? Because I'm assuming if they got to having that much money, they were just...
Yeah. They had so
screwing people over.
And a lot of times after these former Soviet communist countries collapsed, the families and the friends and the people that were like, you know, at the top of society, which is very few people because in communism, the masses starve and work like dogs. And like basically that's what they're trying to bring for the rest of the world. At the fall of the Soviet Union, they were a joke. Basically what we can tell, Yeltsin took over. He was a piss drunk leader. I don't know. Do you know? You ever seen the videos of Yeltsin drunk?
No.
So basically, I think he was a puppet of the West. They installed him when the Soviet Union fell, and Russia was a joke, bro. When I say a joke under this guy. He's basically a puppet. And then what happened? Somehow, I guess, because this guy was ex-KGB, Putin took control, bro. This is who they had after the fall of communism. Imagine this is the leader of free Russia. He was always piss drunk, bro. Piss drunk all the time. And they were weak. And then, look, all he did was drink. And then who took over? Former KGB, bro. This dude stepped in and said, not on my watch. Took over the country. He's basically a dictator, straight up dictator. But he made Russia pretty strong.
February 2003, Hodorkovsky's been asked to say a few words about corruption, something that's plagued Russia for decades. But instead of doing what you'd usually do, perhaps blame a few customs officials or a greedy mayor somewhere far from Moscow, he did something else. Something that will cost him everything. He's just accused the president of enabling corruption at the very top of the Russian government on live television. He did so by bringing up a recent oil deal where the state-owned company, Rosneft, bought a small private firm for far more than it was worth as a way to transfer public money to high-ranking officials inside the Kremlin. And now Putin is furious. Just recently, your company ran into some tax issues, he says, referring to Hodorkovsky's company Yukos, and a rather shady tax issue they managed to sort out with the Russian government. A bribe. And suddenly, Hodorkovsky's the one being accused of corruption by Putin. Russia's richest man has unknowingly made himself a target for Russia's most powerful man. And he doesn't miss.
Yo, this guy's videos are the best, bro.
Yo, Putin has BDE, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
What is that? Oh.
My man Kung Fu this, that. Like, this guy is like
swinging like
Kung
this,
Fu
like
and
this,
shit.
like this. You guys can put that one together. BDE.
You sure this not with guns and shit? No, we're not streaming live, so it doesn't matter.
Oh my god, dude, you just scared me, bro.
I know, but we're not streaming live.
Oh my gosh, bro. Dude, they keep banning us from live streaming for like complete nonsense.
And so not even intentional.
We're like on edge.
And we're not showing violence either.
In the months following, Hodorkovsky and Yukos suddenly start to feel pressure from authorities. It doesn't take long for several Yukos-related companies to come under investigation. And one by one, Hodorkovsky's closest allies are arrested and their apartments and offices are raided. Naturally, Hodorkovsky's friends and advisors beg him to get out of Russia before it's too late, but he refuses to flee. His company Yukos is in early talks to sell a major stake to the American oil giant ExxonMobil. If it goes through, an American company could gain significant influence over one of Russia's largest oil producers. For Putin, that would be a disaster. At around 5 in the morning in late October 2003, Hodorkovsky's private jet lands in Novosibirsk to refuel during one of his many business trips. Suddenly, the tower informs the pilots that they've been selected for a routine check. They'll need to board the plane for inspection before they can take off. They're then directed to a remote stand away from the main terminal building and told to wait. Then, 3 men dressed in airport security uniforms board the aircraft and move through the cockpit, inspecting the front section of the plane. Just as they're about to leave, the sound of heavy footsteps can be heard from outside. Masked men, armed with automatic weapons, are standing directly in front of the cabin door. And Hodorkovsky knows who they are. Spetsnaz, the most dangerous special forces unit of the FSB, and they're here for him. That same day, Hodorkovsky is flown to Moscow and placed before a judge. As the charges are read, massive fraud, forgery, embezzlement, tax evasion and contempt of court, he simply smiles in disbelief. The court claims his crimes have cost Russia over $1 billion and orders him imprisoned while investigations continue. The prison is notoriously brutal and overcrowded, and many of the inmates suffer from tuberculosis.
Imagine going from private jet straight into jail.
8 months later, the trial begins.
8 months too.
Yeah, they break your spirit that way.
Hodorkovsky and his business
And he
partner
probably was
are pla-
100% corrupt, bro.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're...
But so is Putin, so is any politician.
Hodorkovsky and his business partner are placed inside a cage in the middle of the courtroom. It doesn't take long for them to realize the trial won't be fair, as the judge blocks key witnesses while the prosecution is allowed to present flawed and withheld evidence. And sure enough, a year later, both men are found guilty of large-scale fraud and tax evasion and sentenced to 9 years in prison.
Shocker.
At the same time, his company Yukos is hit with massive tax claims while the state takes control of their assets and their most important oil fields are sold to Rosneft. Hodorkovsky's sent to a remote penal colony in northern Russia under...
I mean, that's kind of whack. If you run the biggest oil company in the United States and you were going to sell 80% to China...
Yeah, but
Or
you
one
gotta
of your
gotta
enemies.
protect the national interest.
Bro, that's being a straight
There's
trader.
certain things that should be public utilities, bro. Energy related,
Water.
communication, water. These are things that no one should be able to own, period, but the people own, bro.
Isn't that crazy? God gave us so much, bro. He gave us enough so everyone can have heat and food and water, and we still got hungry people. This dunya's a joke, bro. This life is a joke.
I can't wait to see all these oligarchs on the next life, their faces on that day.
On the day
and
of
there's no way
judgment.
this guy became a billionaire without being extremely crooked or in bed with the commies, bro. So, because it's too soon, right? Like, communism fell in like 89.
What's God going to do to them on the day of judgment? Here's your sword.
Asked for every single penny. That's for people that sold interest. But
I know, but I'm assuming like he had something that he probably did
no,
something.
he owned what should have belonged to the public. The commies probably gave it to him.
strict surveillance and with very limited contact with the outside world. Then, in 2007, just as he's nearing parole, new charges are filed, and 2 years later, he's sentenced to a further 14 years in prison. From being Russia's richest man on the verge of closing a deal with one of the world's largest oil companies, Hodorkovsky has lost a $15 billion fortune, his company, and his freedom in less than 2 years. And with more charges likely to come, the chance of him ever being released are almost zero. But then, in 2013, rumors suddenly start to spread that Putin has new plans for Hodorkovsky. As for Hodorkovsky, you know, I've already talked about this, a decree for his pardon will be signed soon. Out of seemingly nowhere, after his annual end-of-year press conference, Putin suddenly announces that Hodorkovsky will be pardoned. Completely. As host of the upcoming Winter Olympics, Russia has suddenly found itself under pressure over its human rights record. And so, according to insiders in the Kremlin, Putin has decided to release notable political prisoners, including Hodorkovsky. And sure enough, a few days before Christmas, Hodorkovsky is released from his prison camp in 𝐂𝐥𝐤𝐿. After having served more than 10 years in some of Russia's most brutal labor camps, he's free. Hodorkovsky was one of the first oligarchs to challenge Putin publicly, but he also benefited from exploiting the same system he later criticized. And it's probably fair to assume that had it not been for his usefulness to gain goodwill, chances are he'd still be in prison. Today, he lives in exile and remains a prominent critic of Putin and the authoritarian regime in Russia. In recent years, he's funded independent news outlets, backed exiled opposition figures, and helped other Russians flee.
I wonder how much money he still had access to. He must have had money in Switzerland.
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
He probably definitely had money in Switzerland. You can't be on that level and be stupid not to spread money outside the country if shit ever hits the fan.
Yeah, you got to have mad nest eggs.
Switzerland, all over the place, bro. So I wonder, he definitely didn't have access to all of it, but I want, even a bill was enough, bro. Like, shit, one bill.
Yeah.
One day, he hopes to return to Russia when it's safe and free.
Yeah, good luck with that, dude. I'm surprised he pardoned him, bro. I think what happened there probably is other powerful oligarchs were like, listen, you gotta let this guy out. Or something happened. Like someone influenced behind the scenes, like, yo, dude, all right, you punished him. At that point, I say you made this shit, just leave him in there, let him rot. Like if I was Putin, I would have never let him out, bro. At that point, you already look stupid. Letting him out again, it's like, I'm just saying, I would have left his ass in there. Because you know he's gonna come out and talk shit about you, right? I would have just left him in there, bro. It's gonna give him a better sell.
Do you have any good knowledge about Russia or Putin or anything?
Listen, traditionally they were never really good towards my people. They support the people that took out my people, and they were the mother of like communism. So whatever. But I'm glad that like that.
Well, they got infiltrated.
But I kind of like what he stands for as far as society. Like he doesn't let the rainbow shit out. Like so, like there's things about him that I actually like. I never thought I would agree with. I even met the girl that was like Riot Pussy or whatever they're called. They were the rock band that they locked them up, and I actually met one of the main members of that band.
I don't know what you're talking about,
because they were pushing that lifestyle shit through their music and rebellion, like very left policies, and he went after them, bro. They became infamous for that. I actually met one of the singers, bro. That's somewhere nowhere.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think of the history videos in the comments. I've loved reacting to these live. I would be watching them off camera anyways, so it's cool for you guys to get to do it with us. And that's it. See you in the next one. Peace.